Listening to music today is a straightforward task. You simply grab your phone or computer with internet access and choose the music you want on YouTube or your music player, such as Spotify, for example. This can be entirely free if you're willing to listen to an occasional ad or with a monthly subscription plan, granting you access to millions of songs whenever you desire. However, just over 20 years ago, things were quite different. To listen to a specific song, you needed to have a CD with that particular track, and you couldn't just pay for that one song alone. Even if you were only interested in one song, you had to buy the entire album, and the price wasn't inviting at all. But two young developers changed the course of the music industry completely, and that's what we'll discuss in this video. Before we continue, a quick message. These videos take a lot of effort to produce, so if you're still watching, please leave a like to support our work. Consider subscribing and leaving a comment below. Any feedback is appreciated. If you want to learn more about business, check out our list of recommended books in the description and comments below. Now back to the video's topic. This scenario of difficulty in accessing music was completely transformed when Karl-Heinz Brandenburg in Germany led the team that developed a data compression technology that practically consolidated what became known as MP3, the audio format that allowed storing music on the computer while occupying little space. With this technology, it gradually became possible to store a series of songs on a computer and even burn them onto a CD, opening up a horizon of possibilities. Moreover, in the late 1990s, people began to realize the possibility of transferring data from one computer to another via the internet, an activity that was quite slow at the time but already allowed you to have access to a song after hours of waiting, and the best part was, without paying anything for it. Upon discovering this possibility, Sean Parker and Sean Fanning, two young Americans, realized that it was possible to create a completely new solution that would allow different users to pass songs to each other. Wouldn't it be great if everyone could share their music collections and download new MP3 files directly from other users' computers? That was the idea that came to Sean Fanning's mind, which kicked off the business. To do this, they created a program that would forever change music, Napster. Until then, musicians and record labels earned a huge passive income by distributing their records worldwide, which meant a market worth billions of dollars and kept giant music companies like Warner, Sony, and Universal afloat. However, with Napster's arrival in June 1999, everything changed. That's because through the tool, users could stream MP3 format songs to each other entirely for free, using the peer-to-peer P2P technology. In simple terms, the technology allows two computers connected to the internet to transfer files to each other, just as is the case today with applications like uTorrent and even in some Bitcoin transfer and sale operations. Still, at the time, the technology, which is now super simple, represented a significant disruption in the music industry. The young Americans simply stopped buying their favorite singers' albums and started downloading songs in MP3 format directly from Napster, without paying anything for either the Napster download or the music itself. The system was a real revolution and attracted millions of young people in just a few weeks, growing at a pace that would make any startup envious. However, as meteoric as its success was, so too began the industry's retaliations, understanding that they needed to stifle the innovation to maintain their bread and butter. Undoubtedly, despite completely innovating the way music was listened to, Napster made the work of various artists available without them paying a single cent for it, which clearly violates the idea of copyright. Despite having millions of users connected simultaneously, Napster didn't have a clear remuneration model, and this became a kind of protection so that the business wasn't seen as intellectual property theft, but rather as a music revolution. Even so, Napster became a startup that received investments and sought a way to survive, both financially and legally. And while seeking a minimally viable way to survive, the company began to face serious problems. One of them was a massive lawsuit filed by the RIAA, the gathering of artists and record labels that sought the closure of Napster and payment of exorbitant fines until the program was taken down. To calm the nerves of the record labels, Napster tried an agreement for the parties to be remunerated by the company in exchange for licenses to have the songs available on its system. However, the proposal was extremely ludicrous and didn't even come close to the billions being moved by the record labels. In addition to them, the band Metallica led another lawsuit against the program, putting a global spotlight on the discussion. The company claimed to have banned over 300,000 users who shared the band's songs. But that didn't change the outcome of the lawsuit. The system, which until then was restricted to just a few more developed countries, began to be present in several others, and media coverage provided more and more free advertising for the platform. Thus, the move backfired, and its goal of eliminating Napster ended up greatly increasing the program's influence and its number of users, which at its peak reached 8 million people sharing songs simultaneously. A huge number considering that the internet was still something distant for most people at the time. And so, the world discovered that it was possible to have songs for free on their computers. Even so, Napster's great story was short-lived. In mid-2001, the company was ordered to pay $26 million to the Association of Musicians and Record Labels. Bankrupt, the company went out of business, and fortunately, its partners didn't face criminal charges. In fact, they continued working in the startup world. Sean Fanning became a member and advisor of some companies, and now has a fortune estimated at $70 million. A few years later, Sean joined and was one of the ones responsible for Facebook's growth, an activity that made him a billionaire with a fortune estimated at $2.8 billion. In 2002, the Napster brand was sold to the company Rockwell for more than $5 million, and the new owner decided that the program would become a music subscription service. In 2008, the brand was again sold to Best Buy and later merged with the application Rhapsody, becoming a streaming service competing with Spotify and still exists today. But the way Napster emerged was never the same again, but this cannot be said of the impact it caused. Despite being suffocated by the music industry, Napster affected the music industry to the point that just a few months after the Napster lawsuit, the record labels had to accept Steve Jobs' proposal, who introduced iTunes, Apple's legalized MP3 music sharing system, where users paid 99 cents per song. The solution gave a new lease of life to the music industry, but it didn't even come close to mitigating the impact Napster had. For every user who legally bought music on iTunes, dozens of others downloaded songs for free on other programs that imitated the original program, causing the music industry to accept the deal with Steve Jobs to receive very little instead of nothing. And it never imagined that shortly afterward, in 2008, Spotify would once again change the market and pay even less to the record labels, and even make singers release their own music for everyone without the intermediary of a record label. But that's a story for another video. If you want to know how Spotify's transformation was, watch our video that's appearing on the screen. Cheers, and until the next video. Do you know which business model offers high profit margins, immense scalability, and requires low initial investment? The startup market specializing in software development is the optimal choice to bring together all these advantages. However, the only place where you will truly find a highly scalable service that demands low investment is with Roadmap. Roadmap has global experience providing consulting and developing apps for startups in the United States, Europe, and Latin America, making it by far the best option for new entrepreneurs. If you want to venture into the premier market, contact Roadmap right away through the website www.roadmap.co/home or via email at contact@roadmap.co.